So there's one set of tracks in my tracks, right? These are my tracks from when I hiked in, and it basically all the way from where I've come. It's basically walking right in my tracks. Parallel to that coyote is another coyote. Hey, it's Greg here with Outdoors on the Cheap. It's early in the morning and I'm hiking out of the woods. I spent the night here just at a place I can stay, and I noticing an interesting thing. I brought my camera along just in case I saw something interesting. I had no real plan to make a video out here, and this is the second time I've noticed this in the winter in this location. So I'm about close to a kilometer from where I was staying, and about 200 yards from where I actually stayed, I noticed some coyote tracks. And now I'm about a kilometer from where I stayed, and they're still here. And what I noticed the coyotes did was that they followed my tracks, at least as far as I can tell. So let me show you. So here, whoops, that's a coyote track, okay? It's not fresh, okay? So it snowed last night. It was a little bit, we had a dusting of snow last night, so I can see there's snow on the track. So they either did this at dusk last night. It didn't snow much last night, just like a dusting, right? But they either did this last night at dusk or in the middle of the night. So there's one set of tracks in my tracks, right? These are my tracks from when I hiked in, and there's one coyote track, a fairly large coyote, following, and it's basically all the way from where I've come. It's basically walking right in my tracks. Now, parallel to that coyote is another coyote. Here's its tracks. Okay, and it seems like a smaller one, maybe a mate, or it's like maybe a mother and child, or a male and female, perhaps, I don't know. But these are smaller tracks. But I've always noticed that the coyote, they seem to hunt in tandem, and they seem to have the same vintage, basically, because these tracks weren't here when I hiked in yesterday. I would remember that, right? Also, the tracks are in my tracks, right? But they tend to hunt in tandem. And I mean, I'll see how far this goes, but I mean, they picked up my trail somewhere, and basically it seems like one of them is in charge of following the tracks, and the other one perhaps was in charge of just like keeping its head up and looking for signs of movement and so on and so forth. But yeah, they have not, basically they followed my tracks almost all the way to where I was staying, and probably the smell of the fire, right, is what you know, because times I've been there where there's basically a fire going when I'm not there, that, you know, maybe 200 yards, but you can sort of smell fire when you get about that close. And that seems like when they gave up. Other neat track here I just noticed is, where is it here? Looks like a bobcat to me. I think this is a bobcat track, right? You can see it's a different sort of look. The coyote track is more, almond shaped with claws at the front. And the bobcat is more round, like that, right? Like almost circular. So it looks like the bobcat crossed the path here. I mean, I think that's a bobcat. I'm not an expert on tracks, but I think that's what it was. Anyway, that's the most interesting thing I've seen. I haven't seen, I came out here for rabbits, and I haven't seen hardly any tracks. And of course, I haven't seen any rabbits, and I have seen very little rabbit tracks. So, not much luck. Hunting rabbits without a dog is tricky. But it's ideal when you've just had it. This snow just happened yesterday, so we got a fresh snow. So any track you see, and there was a light dusting of snow overnight, so you can tell when tracks are fresh. So all I do is just walk along until I see fresh tracks, and then just follow them for, you know, 5-10 minutes. Maybe there are rabbits nearby. Anyway, maybe I'll make some more film when I see where this is all going. Here's an interesting thing. So this is a beautiful spot on the river here, and you can see it's sort of frozen in places, but it's basically not frozen where there's you know, fast water. But what's interesting here isn't the river, although it's a beautiful river, is this spot here. So this is a flat. I'll give you the view of it from the river. So big flat clearing. Is it naturally a clearing? No. It appears like someone came in here with a chainsaw. I'm going to guess chainsaw. And went to town on this place and basically made, I guess they're going to make, I don't know, maybe they're going to use it for tenting, or maybe they're going to build a cabin here. I don't know. But this is Crown land, so, you know, in terms of, I mean, no one, there's camps all over the place in Nova Scotia on Crown land where you're not supposed to do, you know, you're not supposed to, you can't buy the land, you can't build on it, you're not supposed to erect a structure, all that sort of stuff. Although people do it all the time, right? Anyway, it looks like this guy, this is the first time I noticed this place. And I've been coming out here for years. It looks like he did this. I don't know why he, this is how I know he had a chainsaw. That's not a handsaw. The cut's too rough for a handsaw. Anyway, he must have cut that so he could get the nails in. Maybe he slept there? I'm saying he, I'm just guessing. Could be a she. I don't really know what that's basically the only thing that's been done here, other than a lot of trees cut down. But the point of me, the reason I'm bringing this up isn't to narc on this person or whatever. It's just, the point is that if you're going to build an illegal camp on Crown land, my advice would be not to make a highway going to it. So this camp here is relatively close to the logging road I was on. And how I noticed it is that the guy cut a 6-foot wide ATV trail straight to it. Actually, it's a really steep hill where the trail is. It's over there. You can see it's quite steep. He must, this person must be pretty skilled ATV rider. I don't drive an ATV, so I don't know. That is like more than 45 degrees. That is steep. I just came down and I had to basically hang on to trees to get down it. Anyway, the person made like a highway to this spot. You know, I was just walking along the logging road, and then I just saw the forest open up in a straight line. I was like, what's down there? And I just followed it for about 10 minutes, and here I am in this big, beautiful clearing. And now, of course, I'm going to come here every time I'm out here just to see if there's any progress, to see what the project is here, right? Because I'm curious. Anyway, that's interesting. Like, if you're going to do something like this, I don't care what people do out here. I don't own it. Yeah, hide your tracks. Just basically, it must have just been done. It must have been pretty recent, because I would have noticed it. It's just such an obvious, because most guys, they zip out here on ATV. I've never seen a person walking on the logging road here. I've only ever seen people driving ATVs and sort of really good four-wheel drive trucks. So most people don't notice things when they're whipping along like that, but I walk this trail. I notice everything. It's really obvious that this guy's created a highway to this clearing here. Now, this might just be a place, you know, where he comes with his buddies and they, you know, stay in tents and just, you know, if this river's full of trout, they must just come here, do a bit of fishing and get hammered. Which is what a lot of guys. And now there's a clearing about 1 kilometer that way, where actually I've ran into guys drinking moonshine. I did a big hike up the river one year, and there was about 6 guys there. They have an ATV about 1 kilometer that way, and they had these like milk jugs full of moonshine that they make. It was probably the worst tasting alcohol I've ever drank, but I didn't want to be rude. But I couldn't, they were really nice guys, but I couldn't stick around because I had about 3 more kilometers of river to hike. Anyway, just something interesting I thought I'd share with you. Here's another spot. Looks like either the same ATV guy or a different ATV. So this is a different ATV trail, a new one that I didn't notice before, that goes down to the river. Nice spot here. Good fishing spot. Really, you can sort of tell from the looks of it. There's a tipped over tree, right? Creating a sort of, you know, good structure for trout. This is a really good trout river. That's why I like to come out here mainly. I discovered this place looking for good trout rivers. But look, they've done something here. I'm not quite sure what. I don't know what the purpose is. They've cleared the branches off these trees. This is about 6 feet wide. And they've cleared the branches off these trees in a straight line. Not sure why. And they don't, it's not like they have a trail going laterally to the river. It just stops right here. And another thing about this dude is huge. There's his footprint there. And it's bigger than mine. And I'm big. I'm 6'4". I got a size, this is a size 13 boot. Triple E. And this guy's boot print is bigger and wider than mine. This guy's huge. I don't know if they were here this morning or yesterday yesterday evening, but as far as I can tell, it's just one person. And I'm gonna guess if that's a woman, it's the biggest woman in the history of the world. But it looks like he just came down here. I don't know. Didn't even have a fire from the looks of things. Just came down here, took a look at the river, and left. The ATV tracks stop around here. And then the human tracks go a little further towards the river. Looks like he kicked the ice in there with his giant feet. And then he turned around and ATV'd home from the looks of things. But what a great fishing spot. Look at that. That big tipped over, I think that's a maple tree. Big tipped over maple. Nice shady spot. The river seems to have like two, looks like the trees created a sort of dry spot in the middle. So the river basically creates these two little narrow spots. And a bit of a, looks like it gets deep over here. So beautiful spot along the river. Man, it's nice. This is not a unique river. There's rivers like, I mean, basically Nova Scotia is just covered in rivers. There's rivers everywhere. You know, you don't have to go far to get a river. And this part of the province, like where I live, the rivers tend to be, very rocky, and they get so narrow in places they're hard to canoe. In this part of the province, they're more big, wide, and slow as a general category. These are rivers that flow into the Bay of Fundy, as opposed to where my house is. The rivers flow into the Atlantic Ocean, like straight off to the coast, sort of thing. But this is a different part of the province, and I'm close to basically everything. Every river here is flowing into the Bay of Fundy, and for some reason they just tend to be. It's a different ecology here. The forest is different than behind my house, and everything's sort of bigger and better here in a lot of ways. Don't get me wrong, I love the woods behind my house, but it is a very different ecology here. Many more. Look at that huge pine tree. Many more pine trees, right? And even though, so this is crown land, but as far as I understand, they can't log in the riparian zone, which is basically part of the woods near the river. I don't know how far it goes in, but so, I mean, there's trees here that are like hundreds of years old, right? And there's trees along this river, hemlocks especially, but also pines that are so big I can't get my arms around them, right? Because it's just pristine, right? I mean, you go up near the logging road, it's been logged and the trees are all small, but when you're down here along the river, you're walking in an ancient land. And that's just something, I just love that. That's what I love about places like this. Right, and the great thing about being here is that you'll hardly ever see anyone here. This ATV guy is basically the only signs of life I've seen along the river. Maybe once every 5 years I'll see someone out here. Hardly ever see anyone down near the river. Mainly because you have to hike to get to it. This guy seems to have found a solution to hiking. Cutting 6-foot wide trails that go all the way to the river. Looks like he was here not too long ago, because the ice hasn't really reformed that much. Right? He busted through all the ice taking ATV down to here. So yeah, anyway, another interesting thing along the trail. Now I got to go back up this hill. So this appears to be the spot where they initially picked up my trail, right? Initially they weren't walking in my tracks. One was walking on this side. You can see the other one over there going that way, right? So that's Oh, almost 2 kilometers. They followed me. The only reason I'm making a video about this, and I guess I'll make a video about any other interesting tracks I see on the way out of here, or anything else interesting that happens, is that it's just interesting to me, the behavior, and that they would follow the tracks for that distance. And I'm not quite sure why. Like, I don't think they were hunting me down. I do not. I get interesting comments from viewers. I do not go in the woods with any kind of fear at all. Never have. I've never been afraid in the woods. I have a shotgun with me. I got a 20 gauge single shot H&R, but I don't bring that in here for protection. Right? I've got like number 8 bird shot. That's what I use for rabbits. I find it works really well. I don't have it in here for protection. Right? There's black bears out here. They don't have a lot of activity this time of year. There's coyotes and you know, the greatly rumored eastern cougar, which I have 2 friends that say they've seen them. And these aren't like, one of them's a university professor, the other's a seasoned outdoors person. So, actually they're both avid outdoors people, and they know a lot about the woods. And they both say they've seen a cougar in the woods. One of them actually says that the cougar was following him. So that's all interesting. But anyway, it's my long way of saying, despite the fact that there are these sort of, apex predators, those are the apex predators besides human beings in the forest, I don't come out here with any fear of that. Or to put it another way, I'm resigned to the fact that if those things want to kill me, there's probably not a lot I can do about it. I mean, when you think about it, whether it's a coyote or a cougar or a black bear, they kill things to eat. So they kill things all the time. So the human equivalent would be like a serial killer, except serial killers don't kill a lot of people, not by comparison to what these things do, right? I mean, they kill something every day, every other day. They have to, right? And not only are they just killing things all the time so they're good at it, they kill things that are better at avoiding being killed than me. Right? It's a lot easier to sneak up on a human than it is to sneak up on a rabbit, right? And it's a lot easier to sneak up on a human than it is to sneak up on a deer, right? I mean, they kill things that are just better than me at avoiding being killed, right? Sure, I'm smarter than a rabbit, but rabbits have just better in every way in terms of their senses. They hear better, they smell better, all that sort of stuff, right? And they're better at hiding and better at getting away, right? So they kill those things all the time. I think I'd be a piece of cake, right? And I'm not going to see it coming. It's just going to happen, right? I have to work on the assumption that they're afraid of me. And that basically the best defense I have is the fact that I'm a big human who's healthy, right? That's the best defense. I don't come out here, half the time when I'm in the woods, I don't have a firearm at all. Today I have one, but it's because I'm hunting rabbits. That's why. If I'm not hunting, I don't have a firearm in the woods. I'm never afraid of things out here. Or to put it another way, I just don't see the point in being afraid, right? Either you're going to get it or you're not. and they bring the firearm, it's almost like if you're bringing it because you've got fear, it's probably more like a pacifier. That is to say, it's something that soothes you. And honestly, I don't think you should be in the woods if you're that afraid of the things out here. I mean, especially if you're so afraid that you bring a firearm, you might be a danger to people, really. So that's I don't know where I'm going with this spiel here, but a roundabout way of saying that there's no point in being afraid in the woods, even if it's the case that it appears that 2 large apex predators were following you. And this is Nova Scotia. Our coyotes are big. They're sort of like, some people call them coy dogs. They're half wolf, half coyote. So they do, once in a while, they attack a human. They killed a woman, I don't know how long ago that was, 10 years ago or something like that. And they attacked a teenage boy around the same year. So it's rare, but it does happen. But I don't think they're going to attack I mean, I'm a big guy, so I think I'd have to be in pretty bad shape for them to attack. My guess is that they were following my tracks, hoping because they probably know that humans are in the woods this time of year. They tend to leave food behind, right? My guess is that they were following my tracks to see if I had killed something and left the, the guts behind, that sort of thing. Anyway, roundabout way of saying there's just no point in being afraid. And if you bring anything to protect yourself, all you're doing is protecting yourself from being afraid. You're not really protecting yourself. If one of those things wants to off you, it's you're going to get it. So there's just no point in being afraid of it. Assume that they're going to leave you alone because you're a human being and everything's afraid of us. Everything that isn't afraid of us isn't around anymore because we probably hunted it to extinction a long time ago. Anyway, I don't know if it's the end of the video or not. I might see something more interesting down the road here, maybe not. But anyway, if it is, until next time, please like, share, subscribe, and enjoy the outdoors on the cheap. Thanks for watching.